This one, Morgan Stanley tells wealth advisors they can pitch Bitcoin ETFs in a first for a bank, a big bank. Fascinating, right? I wanted my mom, who's 88. Hi, mom. Good to see you. She watches our podcast here, and I said, like, go tell your investment advisor to buy this ETF. I mean, ETFs were made so that it's super easy to own Bitcoin. And back when we were talking about this, I don't know when it was. When I was talking to her about this 8 months ago, it was like, no, we can't sell you that. And like, huh? That's so
Yeah,
strange. Now it's going to be pushed. Thoughts?
totally agree. I gave a talk to one of the biggest financial planning groups in the world that has about 10,000 financial advisors. I was like, so what's your Bitcoin strategy? And they're like, oh, we don't allow our financial advisors to talk about Bitcoin to their clients at all. And the financial advisors are like, are you kidding? Our clients are asking us about Bitcoin and we're not allowed to answer. You're killing us. Why? Because the regulatory risk they have of they're worried that if somebody gives financial advice on Bitcoin and it's not an approved method of any kind by whatever, they face legal exposure. So they've shut down that conversation. Again, going back to mindset and regulatory, similar to the nuclear conversation, I think there's an underlying driver here that just makes this inexorable, which is the fact that Jeff Booth's observation that he wrote a book called The Price of Tomorrow that you should all go read. And in the book, he basically shows that over the last 50 years, every dollar increase in global GDP has come with a $4 increase in global debt. So we're growing the global economy with debt.
Wow,
And you
that's
can't,
crazy.
it's structural. You can't pay it back. You can't just write it off.
Yeah,
So
that
we're
does not end.
taxing the
That does not
future.
end well.
It does not end well. And look at the debt in the US. Right now, we're creating $1 trillion of debt every 100 days or so. And we're now paying more interest on the US debt than the US spends on its military. Okay, that is a pretty ridiculous comment, and it's not slowing down. There's no mechanism. This is the problem with our democracies. There's no mechanism to look down the line and go, "Hey, we got to stop doing this."
Yeah.
And so this is a huge issue across parties, and nobody's looking at it. You don't hear it mentioned in the political debates at all. And this is a massive problem. The escape hatch between that world and the ETFs connecting to Bitcoin now gives a kind of an atomic bomb lifeline and a shelter where people can escape through that into the Bitcoin world, which is why we're also optimistic about Bitcoin. The recent drop, by the way, for people that are tracking it, there was a huge drop. It turned out Germany sold a massive chunk at the same time that Mt. Gox was paying back a bunch of their folks, and so a huge amount of Bitcoin got liquidated. This is the best buying opportunity ever. I remember Michael Saylor's comment that you get Bitcoin at the price you deserve. It's really.
And
So,
Salim, I want to give you credit here because you're on the stage. I can I just so in detail remember you at our Singularity executive program, uh, 2012, thereabouts. You're on stage to the room. I just gotten off talking about 6Ds or whatever, and you step on. You say, "Have you heard about this thing called Bitcoin?" And you start talking about Bitcoin. I'm going, what the hell is this Bitcoin thing?
we have it's important to look back at the history here just for a second. When Bitcoin came out in 2009, a lot of people kind of just ignored it, even though they were deeply excited about digital currencies. Why? Because there'd been so many attempts in the past that had failed, right?
Yeah.
And so everybody watched for a while, myself included. I watched Bitcoin go from 5 cents of Bitcoin to 50 cents of Bitcoin to $5 of Bitcoin to $50 of Bitcoin.
And how
And
much higher can it possibly go?
yeah, and then at $500 Bitcoin, it's a hard emotional choice to make when you knew it was 5 cents of Bitcoin. That's a really big thing to cross. And yeah, I remember finally buying a few at that level. There are two types of people that come up to me from those days: the ones that listened and bought Bitcoin, and they're hugely grateful, and the ones that are like, "Shit, I wish I'd listened and bought Bitcoin." And it's completely binary around that. So I think this is just one of those things where I think the way Michael Saylor put it was really best. He said, go spend 100 hours researching Bitcoin, and then if you don't like it, come back to me with some salient points and we'll have a conversation.
It's interesting. I look at one of my largest holdings, if not the largest holding outside of real estate, is Bitcoin. And so when it drops from $70,000 to $50,000, first reaction of the amygdala and the animal brain is, holy shit, run and hide, right?
Yeah.
And there's got to be a judo move here for those who are Bitcoin believers to say, oh my God, time to buy, right? And so Saylor is there, and I think I'm there at this point too. There's a great meme of a cartoon where someone said, Dad, was it true that Bitcoin was below $100,000 in your day?
That's wonderful. Yeah, I actually look forward with glee when it drops because I'm thinking, I could buy some more. I just don't have any spare cash to do that. But I do get this burst of, oh my God, I wish I could buy some more.